At exactly 1 minute ago, the fragile geopolitical equilibrium of the Middle East evaporated into a blinding flash of multi-domain warfare as an unprecedented, highly coordinated saturation strike targeted the sovereign airspace of Israel, prompting an instantaneous and devastatingly precise response from both the Israel Defense Forces and the United States military apparatus deployed across the eastern Mediterranean. This was not a localized skirmish, but a hyper-realistic, high-adrenaline tactical escalation designed to overwhelm the world's most sophisticated integrated air defense system, leveraging a terrifying combination of electronic warfare, hypersonic glide vehicles, and decentralized drone swarms launched from obscured proxy locations that deliberately threaded the needle near the borders of Palestine to complicate the interception geometry and force an agonizing calculus upon the defending commanders deep within the underground command bunkers of the Kuria in Tel Aviv. The primary nodes of the Israeli C4 ISR network lit up with a cascading wave of red telemetry alerts, a chilling visual representation of a massive incoming threat matrix that instantly synchronized with the Aegis combat system aboard the United States Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer USS Stout, currently loitering off the Levanten coast under a strict emissions control protocol. The synergy between Israel and the United States in this exact microsecond was absolute. A flawless digital handshake across the Link 16 tactical data network that fused the early warning data from American Space Force infrared satellites with the ground-based AN/TPY-2 X-band radar, stationed in the Negev desert, creating an impregnable dome of situational awareness that tracked every single hostile vector from the moment of ignition. The adversaries, operating from deeply entrenched and heavily shielded subterranean launch sites, had executed a textbook simultaneous time-on-target volley, calculating that the sheer volume of incoming ordnance would exhaust the interception envelopes of Israel's multi-tiered defensive shield. Yet they fundamentally underestimated the algorithmic processing power of the artificial intelligence governing the Battle Management Center. As the hostile munitions broke the stratospheric boundary, roaring through the upper atmosphere at staggering velocities exceeding Mach 7, the Israeli Arrow 3 exo-atmospheric interceptors were already leaving their launch canisters with ground-shaking force, riding columns of incandescent exhaust as their thrust-vectoring nozzles continuously adjusted their ascent profiles to intercept the inbound ballistic threats in the cold, frictionless void of space, far above the populated centers of Israel and the vulnerable civilian infrastructures of Palestine. The United States Navy did not remain a mere observer to this apocalyptic display of firepower. The captain of the USS Stout, seamlessly integrated into the Israeli defense grid, authorized the launch of a salvo of SM-3 Block IIA missiles from the ship's Mk-41 vertical launching system. Their kinetic kill vehicles designed to obliterate the highest altitude threats through sheer force of impact, essentially hitting a bullet with a bullet while traveling at astronomical speed. As the exo-atmospheric engagement unfolded in a series of silent, brilliant flashes in the thermosphere, the secondary wave of the enemy's attack breached the mid-tier airspace, consisting of highly maneuverable cruise missiles that hugged the terrain, utilizing the complex topography of the Jordan Valley and the densely packed urban landscapes near Palestine to mask their radar signatures from the searching eyes of the defender. Israel's David sling weapon system, specifically engineered for this exact nightmare scenario, awoke with lethal precision. Its AESA phased array radars effortlessly cutting through the enemy's aggressive electronic jamming attempts to lock onto the evasive target, while its two-stage stunner interceptors shot into the sky. Their unique asymmetric dolphin-nosed kill vehicles packed with both electro-optical and millimeter-wave radar seekers to ensure a guaranteed kill even against targets executing high-G evasive maneuvers in the terminal phase. The sheer density of the engagement was staggering, a chaotic ballet of fire and algorithms where every microsecond dictated the survival of millions. Yet the United States and Israel maintained absolute control over the battle space. Their joint electronic warfare aircraft, including EA-18G Growlers launched from a nearby American carrier strike group, painting the sky with high-powered electromagnetic interference that scrambled the guidance systems of the incoming cruise missiles, forcing them to veer off course and detonate harmlessly in barren stretches of the desert. But the adversary's strategy was layered, and as the mid-tier threats were neutralized in a spectacular display of pyrotechnics, the tertiary phase of the assault commenced. A massive, low-altitude swarm of loitering munitions and suicide drones launched from concealed maritime platforms and smuggled Launch 2, flying just meters above the crashing waves of the Mediterranean Sea and aiming directly for the coastal heartlands of Israel, deliberately utilizing commercial shipping lanes to shield their approach from the long-range sensors. This was the domain of the Iron Dome, Israel's legendary close-in weapon system, which instantly prioritized the hundreds of incoming bogies. Its battle management algorithm, instantly calculating the precise impact point of every single drone, deliberately ignoring those projected to fall into the sea or unpopulated zones to conserve its precious Tamir interceptor, while simultaneously exchanging targeting telemetry with the American Phalanx CIWS batteries on the Allied destroyers to create a unified wall of tungsten and high explosive. The night sky over the Israeli coastline erupted into a deafening symphony of destruction as the Iron Dome batteries ripple fire, the Tamir interceptors drawing erratic, glowing arcs through the darkness as their active radar seekers hunted down the low-flying drones, detonating their proximity fragmentation warheads in a series of overlapping blasts that rained harmless shrapnel into the ocean, while the United States forces provided over-the-horizon radar coverage via an E-2D advanced Hawkeye orbiting safely out of range, feeding continuous updates to the Israeli command center. In a terrifying evolution of the battlefield, the enemy attempted to exploit the chaos by activating a localized GPS spoofing array hidden within a disguised civilian freighter off the coast, flooding the Link 16 network with phantom contacts and false telemetry data designed to trick the Aegis and Green Pine radars into wasting their interceptors on Ghost, a tactic that momentarily confused the automated systems and allowed a handful of highly advanced, stealth-coded drones to slip through the outer defensive ring. The tension inside the Israeli underground command center reached a fever pitch as the raw acoustic alarms signaled a breach in the perimeter. Yet the IDF's latest technological marvel, the Iron Beam-directed energy weapon system, stood ready to plug the gap, silently targeting the rogue drones with concentrated lasers that superheated their fuselage in milliseconds, causing their lithium-ion batteries to violently detonate in midair without firing a single kinetic projectile. A stunning testament to Israel's absolute mastery of next-generation defensive technology. The geopolitical ramifications of this brazen attack were immediate and profound, as the United States administration issued a flash override communication on all strategic frequency, warning the proxy forces and their hidden state sponsors that the full, unmitigated wrath of the American military apparatus would be unleashed if a second salvo was initiated, while simultaneously coordinating with regional allies to ensure the airspace over Palestine remained clear of debris, emphasizing a strict adherence to international laws of armed conflict, even in the face of an existential threat. The integration of American and Israeli naval assets reached a critical juncture when a submerged threat was suddenly detected by a U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, which had been conducting routine anti-submarine warfare sweeps in the eastern Mediterranean. The aircraft's magnetic anomaly detector pinged a massive underwater metallic signature, moving aggressively toward the Israeli exclusive economic zone, prompting the immediate deployment of a dense network of active and passive sonobuoys that quickly triangulated the position of a rogue, conventionally powered submarine preparing to launch a salvo of land attack cruise missile. Israel's Sa'ar-6 class corvettes, the most heavily armed ships of their size in the world, aggressively moved to intercept, utilizing their advanced ELM-2248 MF-STAR active electronically scanned array radars to maintain an airtight lock on the surface airspace, while their Sea Dome system, the naval variant of the Iron Dome, stood by to intercept any missiles that broke the surface, as the American Poseidon aircraft executed a perfect tactical handoff, feeding the submarine's exact depth and heading into the corvette's combat system, facing an inescapable multi-axis lock from both the United States aerial assets and the heavily armed Israeli surface fleet. The rogue submarine's commander realized that executing a launch would result in the instantaneous destruction of his vessel by American Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes or Israeli guided depth charges, forcing him to execute an emergency blow and surface his vessel in full view of the coalition's optical sensor, effectively ending the naval component of the strike in a humiliating surrender, without a single shot being fired beneath the wave. While the kinetic battle raged in the sky and on the sea, An equally ferocious, albeit silent, war was being waged in the cyber domain. As a coordinated botnet attack originating from hijacked servers across the globe attempted to perform a distributed denial of service attack against the central communication hubs of the Israeli Home Front Command, intending to paralyze the civilian early warning siren network and maximize chaos within the densely populated urban centers of Israel. Unit 80-200, Israel's elite cyber warfare intelligence division, operating in complete synchronization with the United States Cyber Command, executed a devastating counteroffensive, unleashing a barrage of polymorphic malware and precision algorithmic strikes that not only neutralized the incoming DDoS attack, but traced the command and control nodes back to their origin, systematically bricking the enemy's physical server infrastructure and completely blinding their tactical commanders on the ground. The sheer scale of the defensive operation was unprecedented, a meticulously orchestrated symphony of violence and technology, where the United States and Israel demonstrated an unbreakable interoperability, their combined forces forming an impenetrable shield that absorbed, analyzed, and neutralized a multi-domain threat that would have brought any other nation to its knees, all while carefully managing the tactical environment to ensure that the fallout did not destabilize the fragile peace in the neighboring territories of Palestine, proving that absolute military superiority can be wielded with surgical precision. As the final rogue drone was swatted from the sky by a joint U.S.-Israeli electronic warfare barrage, the skies over the Mediterranean slowly returned to an eerie calm, the lingering contrails of hundreds of interceptors drifting like chalk lines across the dawn sky, a stark visual reminder of the apocalyptic fury that had just been unleashed and subsequently contained by the most advanced defense network in human history. This flawless execution of integrated air and missile defense was not merely a tactical victory. It was a profound strategic message broadcasted to the entire globe, solidifying the unbreakable military alliance between the United States and Israel, and serving as a chilling warning to any adversary who might mistakenly believe that the skies over the Levant were unprotected. For the Iron Shield had been tested by fire and had emerged completely unbroken, ready to instantly annihilate the next threat before it even crossed the horizon. But the war was far from over. As the tactical screens inside the Courier transitioned from red to green, intelligence analysts from the Mossad and the CIA were already dissecting the telemetry data, piecing together the electronic fingerprints of the proxy forces to determine exactly who had supplied them with such advanced weaponry, setting the stage for a covert retaliation that would be executed in the shadows, far from the flashing radars and roaring missiles, ensuring that the architects of this failed strike would never again have the capability to threaten the state of Israel or the strategic interests of the United States. Simultaneously, as the aerospace engagement reached its zenith, a deeply classified, high-risk special forces intervention was already underway on the ground, designed to permanently blind the adversary's localized command and control infrastructure before they could initiate a secondary launch sequence that might jeopardize the densely populated residential blocks of both Israel and Palestine. A joint task force comprising operators from Israel's elite Sayeret Matkal and the United States Navy SEAL Team 6 had been covertly inserted via high-altitude, low-opening jumps under the cover of the absolute electronic blackout generated by the American EA-18G Growlers, gliding silently through the night sky to land perfectly undetected within a hostile, denied urban environment where a massive, camouflaged phased array jamming station was actively attempting to sever the Link 16 data connection between the Allied fleets, navigating the labyrinthine alleyways with suppressed weapons and cutting-edge, augmented reality night vision optics that overlaid real-time satellite telemetry directly into their retinas. The operators moved with a lethal, ghost-like fluidity, their mission parameters strictly defined to avoid any collateral damage that could spark a wider regional conflagration involving the Palestinian territories, highlighting the incredible surgical precision required in modern multi-domain warfare. As the Joint Strike Team breached the perimeter of the fortified enemy compound, they encountered a heavily armed contingent of proxy mercenaries equipped with advanced thermal optics and automated sentry turrets. However, the overwhelming tactical superiority of the U.S. and Israeli commandos dictated the outcome in mere seconds, initiating a ruthless close-quarters combat sequence characterized by short, controlled bursts of suppressed fire and the deployment of localized electromagnetic pulse grenades that instantly fried the circuitry of the automated defenses. The American and Israeli operators fought shoulder to shoulder in the stifling, claustrophobic corridor, utilizing explosive breaching charges to blow past reinforced steel doors and systematically neutralize the hostile combatants with a cold, calculated efficiency that left no room for error. Rapidly advancing toward the central server room, where the primary cooling units for the massive electronic warfare array were roaring with deafening intensity, with the countdown timer for the enemy's next missile salvo ticking down relentlessly on the captured command consoles, creating a heart-pounding tension that compressed time itself. An Israeli technical specialist linked directly to U.S. Cyber Command via a hardened satellite uplink, initiating a localized cyberkinetic attack that overloaded the station's primary capacitor, causing the entire jamming array to violently self-destruct in a shower of sparks and molten silicon, permanently erasing the enemy's ability to coordinate their remaining forces and instantly restoring full, unhindered radar coverage to the Aegis and Iron Dome batteries scanning the skies above. This daring ground assault, executed flawlessly without a single friendly casualty, served as the ultimate decapitation strike, severing the head of the enemy's operational capability and plunging their remaining proxy units into total tactical blindness, leaving them completely vulnerable to the relentless, sweeping surveillance of the United States and Israeli drone fleets that were now dominating the airspace with absolute impunity. The immediate aftermath of this intense, cinematic, and highly militaristic joint operation cemented a stark, undeniable reality across the geopolitical spectrum. The combined might of Israel and the United States was an unstoppable juggernaut, a hyperlethal fusion of cutting-edge technology, unmatched intelligence gathering, and elite human operators capable of projecting overwhelming force into any domain, air, sea, cyber, or ground, at a moment's notice, successfully maintaining the delicate balance of power while ensuring the absolute safety of their sovereign territory and minimizing the impact on the civilian populations of Palestine, ultimately concluding this unprecedented chapter of modern warfare with a lingering, unresolved unease regarding the future of global conflict, yet armed with the absolute certainty that the iron shield of the alliance remains forever vigilant and unassailable. The relentless pacing of the engagement, a fast and uncompromising cycle of escalation and neutralization, proved that in the 21st century, the victor is not the one who strikes first, but the one who processes information the fastest. And today, the artificial intelligence, the elite operator, and the multi-billion-dollar hardware of the United States and Israel had spoken with a single, deafening voice, declaring absolute sovereignty over the electromagnetic spectrum and the physical domains of air, land, and sea, ensuring that the dawn broke over a nation that was scarred but unconquered, vigilant and relentlessly prepared for whatever nightmare the future might unleash upon the digital and physical battlefields of tomorrow.